Okay, so here's the deal. After interacting for about 5 years with Electric Universe people and noticing a lot of the patterns I see with how they view specific worldviews and specific ideas, I think I'm drawing a better bead on the situation. And yes, it's taken me a long time. I'm a bit slow on this, but hear me out. I wrote a paper out. I put it up on Vixar, so you guys will be able to see it. I'll make sure to link it when it comes up. So I just finished writing this. Um, Astronomers and astrophysicists do not know how to properly apply gravitational collapse. Um, Basically, this paper is to prove beyond a reasonable doubt with written documentation that the experts have the tool called gravitational collapse, but do not know how to use it properly. And per Wikipedia, gravitational collapse is the contraction of an astronomical object due to the influence of its own gravity, which tends to draw matter inward towards the center of gravity. Gravitational collapse is a fundamental mechanism for structure formation in the universe. Over time, an initial, relatively smooth distribution of matter will collapse to form pockets of higher density, typically creating a hierarchy of condensed structures. Now, I don't know if you guys got that, but gravitational collapse is a fundamental mechanism for structure formation in the universe. This is very important. Fundamentally, to build a structure with gravitational collapse, you need a pre-existing object that has a gravitational field. That's number one. You can't have something collapse gravitationally if there's not an object there causing the gravitational collapse. So the idea that gravitational collapse forms stars is completely bogus. It's just wrong. You can't form something that doesn't yet have a gravitational field with the concept of gravitational collapse. And I think that's one way the Electric Universe has it right, and that there are definitely other mechanisms involving birthing a star. Very powerful electromagnetic events occur inside the galaxy to form stars. The clouds don't self-compress from gravity. That's ridiculous, because you need a gravitational field already there. That's one way the EU gets it right. And astronomers get it wrong. Number two, the astronomers, what they're doing basically is they don't understand how to use the tools they're provided. For instance, imagine you're on a construction site and you have some 1-inch thick rebar, steel rebar that you need to cut. It's a 40-foot long piece and you need to cut it in half to 20-foot pieces. Do you grab a hammer and start banging on it with a hammer? No. But what astronomers are doing, and here's the thing, they have the tool. They have gravitational collapse to form planets. They have what they need. And the tool is they have a side grinder. So one of the construction guys, one of the workers, hands an astronomer a side grinder. And you know what the astronomer does is that they take the side grinder and they start banging it against the middle, as if it's a hammer too. So basically, the astronomers don't understand how to use the tools they're being given, which is gravitational collapse. They don't know. It's a very powerful tool, but they don't know how to use it properly. Clearly, if you want to use a side grinder, you plug it in, you put it in your protection, you put it in your goggles, and then you cut away. But with gravitational collapse, that's a very powerful tool that astronomers have, but they're not applying it the right way. First, they're saying that it can burst stars, completely bogus. Secondly, the astronomers are making stars do things with gravitational collapse that doesn't actually happen, like form a black hole, which are non-existent. They're a major fiction. I don't know why they're still taught as being real, that they're complete fiction, that they don't exist. They don't exist anywhere. I don't know why they're on that track. Maybe it's to bring in more money or whatever. Probably. Look at the black holes. I mean, it gets views and clicks and ad revenue, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, they're saying that a star gravitationally collapses and then forms a black hole, which is completely ridiculous. they're not using the gravitational collapse tool correctly. What they should be doing is saying the star gravitationally collapses, loses mass, loses heat, loses light, loses energy, loses basically everything, and differentiates itself in the center. It collapses gravitationally. The entire star is crushing itself and evolving. And as it does this, the appearance of the star changes over many, many hundreds of millions of years. That is the process of planet formation. As the star gravitationally collapses, it creates the planet in its interior. That's what we're standing on, is the result of many hundreds of millions of years of a star's gravitational collapsing on itself, leaving the heaviest elements in the center, the iron nickel core, and then the mantles and then the rocky crust on the outside, with a very thin atmosphere left over and life and what have you. And that's the main problem, is astronomers, they have the tools they need, but they're not applying them in the right way. Unfortunately, I saw Electric Universe people, they say, well, clearly a star doesn't collapse into a black hole, so gravitational collapse, that's impossible, can't happen, because black holes are fictional entities. No, you're attacking the tool. You're attacking gravitational collapse. You shouldn't be attacking that. Astronomers are misusing that tool, okay? What you should do is grab the tool in your hands and use it properly. Instead of saying, well, the astronomers are wrong because they don't become black holes, they don't, which is correct, and then tossing gravitational collapse in the trash bin. Instead of doing that, you take gravitational collapse and you apply it properly for the star. As it gravitationally collapses, it becomes the planet over many hundreds of millions of years. That's how it's properly supposed to be used. That's the proper way to use the tool. Or if you're on the construction site, that's how you use the side grinder. You don't just bang it against the metal thinking the metal is going to cut. No, you plug it in and you hold it tight and you let that carbon disc slice through the 1-inch thick rebar like butter. That's how you use the tool. But Electric Universe, they have a habit of doing that. They have a habit of saying, well, this doesn't work like this because this isn't what we observe, and then they take all the tools that the astronomers have and they toss them all in the trash. So, we don't need that. Gravity isn't important. Yada, yada, yada. Electricity runs the universe. No, it does not. No, it does not. Maybe it's an important factor for star birth, but once the star is born and once all those really amazing, that really large object comes into being from very powerful electromagnetic events, gravity then can start taking over and doing a lot of the work. It takes an extremely long time to do. It's omnidirectional, meaning it pulls in on all the surface of the star and it makes it collapse very, very slowly. In fact, gravity is the bread and butter of stellar evolution. Once it reaches a certain stage, it's extremely important. So for Electric Universe to say, to hell with it, nah, man. You got to understand that astronomers, they have a lot of good stuff at their disposal, but they're abusing all the tools they have. They're ignoring a lot of the evidence. They're interpreting things in ways that don't make any sense at all. And you need to understand that. And another example here is I wrote in this paper, like uranium. Uranium was considered a trash rock when they were mining for cobalt. Cobalt was the mineral they wanted to use, and they just would throw the uranium on the side of the road after they mined the cobalt out. Eventually, we've discovered that uranium can be put in a centrifuge, and you can separate U-235 from U-238, get the U-235, which is radioactive, and you can make freaking bombs with it that can destroy entire cities. And, basically murder hundreds of thousands of people. For a big bomb, you could probably murder millions of people. But that's the thing. The tool was always there. The uranium was always there. But the scientists didn't know how to use it properly. They were using, I think, for dyes or whatever, to dye ceramics and to dye glass. But it's like, no, man. And the same thing, that's what astronomers are doing. They're taking gravitational collapse and they're misapplying it, and they're using it in ways that don't make any sense. And that's what Electric Universe people need to understand, it's not that the astronomers, it's not that they're dumb or that they don't have the tools they need. It's just they're taking the tools they have and they're running amok with it and abusing them and making them do things they just don't do. Basically, that's all in a nutshell what I have here in this paper. And you gotta look at things differently all the time. The way we're gonna make progress these days is, it isn't through just better technology, it's through different technology. It's not like we're just gonna, for instance, TVs aren't just better cathode ray tubes. It's a completely different setup. The LCDs and plasma, it's completely different from a cathode ray tube. And cars just don't have faster horses attached to them. They have engines in them. It's not that we should do things better with what we already have. We do things differently than what we have currently. And that's one of the biggest roadblocks I'm running into, is people don't realize that nature is a lot different than what they're being told in school. And if they would just allow their minds to just, wait a second, it's completely different. If they could allow themselves to do that, maybe they would make their life a little bit richer and a little bit better. All right, guys, take it easy.